Joining me now is Peter Ridd. Peter Ridd, thank you for your time. What do today's figures, a record coral cover for most of the reef, tell you?
Oh, we should be celebrating. We should be ringing the church bells. We should be giving the kids a day off school. You know, it's proof that the reef is in wonderful condition. And yes, there's been a lot of rubbish from a lot of parts of the media, but let's just forget that for a little bit and just remember that the reef is great and to be thankful for that.
Now, this Australian Institute of Marine Science report says, well, look, global warming's still going to come from the reef, come for the reef, you know, forget our past dodgy predictions. But it does say, oh, well, look, there's also less variety of coral cover in some areas. What do you make of that?
Oh, yes. You know, it doesn't matter how good the news is. These organisations and the ABC and the Guardian, they always manage to make it into bad news. I compare... Have you watched the Harry Potter films? And there's these creatures called Dementors, and they just suck the joy out of life, and they make you feel, you know, depressed and all the rest of it. And this is what they're like. It doesn't matter how good the coral is; they can still somehow manage to find the bad news. You just got to laugh at it, but it is, unfortunately, it's pretty serious. No, look, what they're saying is just rubbish. Of course, it's the fast-growing corals that have recovered. Those are the ones that were knocked over by cyclones, a little bit due to bleaching and a lot by crown of thorns starfish. So, of course, they're the ones that have come back. It's what you'd expect.
How important is this to have this record coral cover? This is, I think, for me, this is a huge moment, and I'm not surprised a lot of the media didn't report this new data. How important a teaching moment is this to have this record coral cover after being told for a quarter of a century that global warming is killing the reef?
Look, it should be the end of the debate that, you know, we've been told there's been 4 massive, unprecedented, devastating bleaching events since 2016, right? And yet we've got record high coral cover. This should be utter proof that the institutions, a lot of them have been utterly untrustworthy. The press has been untrustworthy, and we need to start, you know, really putting the quality assurance on these people. I'd really like to see the opposition now step up. We've got great coral cover now. They've got cover of that. If people start saying they're deniers, they can say, look, we've got record high coral cover. Let's have a bit of quality assurance. Let's have a little bit of an investigation to see whether these institutions are telling the truth, because clearly there is a problem here. The reef is wonderful. That's the problem. The reef is wonderful. Isn't it ridiculous?
It is ridiculous. Just lastly, Peter Ridd, I mean, I'm shocked that in Australia today, we get a scientist like you who warned that this reef scare was exaggerated, has been vindicated. You got hounded by the ABC, you got abused by fellow scientists, and you got sacked. While all these other people that ran this scare, they keep sucking up the grants, they've got their jobs still. What does that tell you about Australia?
Oh, it's not just Australia, it's the university system, it's the scientific system. The scientific system is much like the mafia. You step out of line, you get your kneecaps kicked in, or you get a horse's head chucked in your bed or whatever. That's just the way it works. And this is why we need the politicians to step in, because essentially the scientists are acting like a bunch of religious people telling us we're meant to believe them, and clearly they're unbelievable. And it's only by political action that we can actually turn this around.
Well, I wish that the Liberals had the courage that you were hoping for, but I'm afraid you're in for another disappointment. Peter Ridd, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.